Hello everyone, welcome to this reading. So this reading is going to be about how other people view you. Basically how I'm going to set this up is I'm going to do some oracle cards on this side and on this side, and one side is going to represent how people you don't know, how they view you, and then the other side is going to be how people you do know view you, and then we're going to do some tarot, basically getting a general idea of how people view you, like objectively, and like your main personality traits. So yeah, there's 3 piles to choose from. The first pile is going to be the cat tarot, and I have these earrings. I think you can see them. They're Halloween themed earrings. The second deck is, what is it called? The Phantom Wise Tarot, and I have these silver earrings. And then for pile 3, we're going to be using the Manga Tarot with these angel cherub gold earrings. So, take as long as you need to pick a pile, and you can also obviously be drawn to all of them, or 2 of them, 1 of them, whatever. Yeah, I hope this reading is helpful, so we're gonna get into it. Hello, pile 1. If you chose these Trick or Treat Boo earrings and the cat tarot, this is gonna be your reading. So basically on this side, I think I explained this in the intro, but if you skipped that, oh, actually, just realized, not that it matters, but anyways, this side is going to be how people you don't really know very well view you, and this side is going to be how people you're more close with view you. And then when we get into the tarot, we're going to do kind of an objective, like whether they know you or don't know you. Like, this is just objectively how you may come across to others, just general personality traits, stuff like that. So let's get into it. So for how people who you don't know very well view you, we have the bee and pomegranate, productivity. We have the scorpion. Then we have the card tree. And then for how people close to you, how they view you, we have the possum and peony with bashfulness. We have the cosmic egg. And we have, I feel like I'm gonna say this wrong. I think that's Anainin, but God, I hope I'm saying that right, with the subconscious. So I do think that there is one similarity with both of these, which is that it's funny because when I was pulling these cards, like before, because I did look at them beforehand, I felt like I could get so much. I felt like I was getting a lot, and now that I'm like here, like actually speaking, I feel not totally blocked off from it, but you definitely have a protective energy, and I think that that is something, like, you're very protective with your inner world, and I think that that's something that is felt on both sides. So there is similarities. I was actually gonna like flip over these first and then flip over these after talking about this side, but I thought it was really cool and interesting how on this side, I mean, maybe there are some others who view you as like bashful or shy, but I think that like it's funny because, and I don't know if shy is even the right word, but like more protective with your energy. I think the people who are close to you kind of, have a better idea of you, obviously, and how they may see how you like to protect that energy. The AC just came on. I hope it's not super loud in this video. Anyways, and people who don't know you may not all, some people may pick up on it, but I think a lot it's like kind of half and half. It's like 50-50. A lot of people just see you as very career oriented. I thought that when I saw this card, and then I think this card literally talks about someone who is focused on their career, tends to keep to themselves. I think that I also, whenever I was pulling these cards, I heard hard to get to know, so I think you're someone who people perceive as hard to get to know. And the people who do know you also know this. I think they know that you're hard to get to know, and they feel kind of lucky that you chose them as someone to kind of like let in. But even then, there's still so much you don't share, especially with the subconscious card coming out and the cosmic egg coming out, which this is correlated to the crown chakra. You're a very intuitive person, and I was also getting the vibe that maybe you could feel more connected to the spiritual realm, and maybe that's where like you feel most comfortable, where you spend most of your time is kind of in the higher chakras. The tree, I believe that talks about like being rooted, having wisdom. Both other people, I'm already kind of talking in general, but I feel like these aren't like super different. I'll get into the differences in a second, but in general, people tend to see you as very intelligent, very wise, very smart. And people who don't know you tend to view you as someone who is very rooted in reality, very grounded, even though you may feel very connected to, you know, your higher chakras. That doesn't mean that you're like spacey or floaty. I don't really think that people, even though you're very intuitive, I don't think you come off as like someone who has their head in the clouds. Maybe at times, but I think for the most part, even if you do come off that way to someone, there's an energy where there's a heavy earth energy. I'm feeling like maybe like Capricorn. What are the other? I know there's Taurus, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. Yeah, okay, yeah, lots of Virgo energy as well. Probably more Virgo energy. But also career oriented makes me think Capricorn. Anyways, doesn't really matter, unless it does. But yeah, I think people who don't know you see you as a very productive person. They see you as someone who is very particular with how you spend your time. Very, you know, you like to use your time wisely. Whether or not that's true, that's how people see it. They see you as someone who doesn't really like to waste time. The Scorpion card can also talk about feeling scorned, which actually sometimes this can talk about other people feeling scorned, but I also think that maybe this doesn't have to be true for everyone, but I think that you have a very deep emotional life as well, like very, and I don't think you share it with a lot of people, but I think that more intuitive people can definitely pick up on some sort of like darker energies within you, not like dark in a bad way, but just deeper, darker energies that, you know, emotions, maybe traumas that you carry with you, or if they're not traumas, like, you know, things that you're very emotionally connected to from your past that, you know, you carry but are very strong about it. You carry very strongly, I guess. And, you know, even if they don't exactly know what it is, there are people who don't know you who are, if they're more intuitive, can kind of feel that from you, can kind of feel this like darker energy. I think that people feel generally pretty comfortable around you, people who like don't know you and people who do know you. Because yeah, I feel like I'm trying to think of like a character to describe that kind of fits this energy, but there's a lot of noise going on outside. Anyways, how do I describe this? Like, I don't know, I feel like people, like, if you are the type of person to be reserved in public or your workspace, I feel like people, they're not scared of you necessarily, but I feel like they feel very comfortable in, you know how some people don't like awkward silences? I feel like they feel comfortable to be silent around you and not pressured to talk, because you kind of just give off this energy of not needing to talk all the time and not pressuring other people into conversation, because sometimes people can have an energy about them where you can just tell that they're uncomfortable in silence, and you're not the kind of person who is uncomfortable in silence. And even if you are, people don't pick that up from you, and they feel very respectful of your need for like independence. If that's something that you need, I don't know, but people kind of sense this desire for, not that you don't want to be friendly with people, but I think that they perceive you as very picky. That's not like a good word. I can't think of the right word, but selective, I guess. That's also not, I don't know, but they feel like the need to respect your alone time, or yeah, basically they don't want to bother you, not because they think that you'd be mad at them, maybe some people, but they respect that about you. And I think heavy on the career, a lot of people think that you're the type of person who is very career oriented and likes to get things done. And Jesus, I don't know if you can hear that. Why is today such a loud day? Okay, anyways, yeah, very career focused, very focused on, very goal oriented. That's the word. When you have a goal, other people perceive you as the type of person who, like, when you have a goal, that is like, no one can deter you from it. Like, that is something that you are focused on. I'm trying to think of, like, how else can I put this? Like, because I'm picturing, like, a very specific person. Like, I can kind of view this person, like you, like, at work or something, or just in, like, a public setting. I think people just, like, kind of have, like, a sort of respect for you. They see that you're the type of person who has a more streamlined, like, you want to get from here to here, and you don't really want to be distracted during that. At least that's how people who don't know you perceive you. And it's kind of like, even if you are, like, maybe get a little bit distracted here and there, I think that people see you as very goal-oriented, and they don't want to get in the way of that. Let's see. Oh, there was something else I was gonna say, and now I can't remember. Oh, I remembered. Okay. I feel like this is an energy that, honestly, at first I was like, huh, like, it felt a little bit closed off, but it feels like an energy that's, like, very quick and to the point, though, to read. I think that it's like you're hard to read, but also easy to read at the same time. I think that some people may think that you're difficult to read because they think, like, some people may be confused because they get a very strong energy from you. Like, they get a very potent energy from you. Like, it's very clear to them, at least they think, like, the type of person that you are. You give off a very strong energy, but also they feel like they don't know you at all. So I feel like, honestly, like, your energy is just strong, and you as a person is obviously a little, like, not closed off, reserved, that's the word. You know, you're very selective with who gets to know you. And over here, the people who do know you, the thing is, even though they know you, they don't know much more. There's still a lot of stuff hidden, but I think they're definitely more tapped into the creative parts of you, the emotional parts, and they see more of your intuition. I think some people who don't know you can feel an intuitive energy from you, and other intuitive people can also feel that like darker emotional aspect, like I said. But I think that in general, other people tend to, okay, I don't know if you heard that honk, but anyways, we're gonna take that as a confirmation. Other people tend to view your like shell, like a tough shell, like if you were an egg. I mean, I guess I'm thinking of eggs because of this, but if you were an egg, they can see the shell and they see it for what it is, but they don't know if there's a chicken or a yolk inside. I don't know. I don't know. It's like they wouldn't be able to tell basically all the time that you are such an intuitive, creative person and that you can be creative, because I think honestly, to people who don't know you, you may not come off as super creative, even though they may feel like you can, they may think that you're very smart and creative, but I think that you also have like a more like artsy side that only the people who really know you see, and also a more like bashful, kind of silly side that only the people who really know you see as well. Oh, I just noticed the mirroring in like the positions here. I don't know if that means anything, but I do think that that's very cool. I think it's funny they're, you know, mirroring each other, but this scorpions are a little bit more intimidating and they have their little pinchers and they're like, it's a scorpion. You know, this is a possum. Possums aren't necessarily scary. Some people may be afraid of them, but they're rodents. You know, you're not a rodent. But, you know, this is like more of, I don't know. It's just very like, la-di-da, like I'm a little possum, you know, not intimidating. Maybe people do find you intimidating, but people who know you know that you're literally not. You're just a little possum. But you still have a very strong energy to the people that know you. And yeah, more dreamy. I think the people who really know you know that you're more dreamy, and like the people who like really know you, who like are really close to you, probably also know you probably share more of your like insights with them as well and your dreams. And I think that you like to have at least one person or two people, like one or two people, you like to have like at least one very close person, it seems, who like you feel like you're very comfortable sharing everything with them, and you may like really talk their ear off about all these creative ideas you have, and to the outer world you may be more of like a tough shell, tough nut to crack. And even this just has more like color. But also this card, I mean, I don't know, this card also seems a little bit like hectic. These cards, I mean, they're just kind of made that way, but it's also very like neat, collected, and I don't know, there's just something about your energy to the general public that is kind of collected. And I feel like you're with like people that you know, there's a little bit more of a silliness, and they know more of your sensitive side. I think that's a big thing. They know more of your sensitive side. Yeah, but I want to get into the tarot now. I feel like this description can fit for a lot of people, so I'm excited to see like what the other piles are gonna say and what these cards are gonna say, because so far this has been like an easy read. Like this has been very I don't know, and I mean that in a good way. Like it's been, I don't know, like the cards that sometimes the cards that come out just aren't speaking to me, but these ones feel very, okay, we're gonna shuffle one more time. I've kind of been shuffling a lot. Anyways, so now we're gonna get a general idea, like in general, objectively, how do most people see you, whether they know you or don't know you? What are the traits that you naturally exude to people. So. Okay, so we have the Ace of Cups. Okay, so Cups energy coming out first. These cards are so cute. I feel like, I mean, we'll get more into it, but in general, this is kind of how I was feeling. I don't think that everybody who doesn't know you can feel this, but I think that a lot of people can see your emotional nature. And I think that even if they see you as more business oriented and career oriented, they see that you care a lot about whatever it is that is your goal. Like you put a lot, you have a lot of passion for it, even if it's not super like exuberant passion. It's like, you know, people can tell that you care, you know? So, yeah. Okay, oh, what is this? I haven't used this deck a lot. I think I'm gonna have to look at the book. I think this is the Three of Wands? Hold on. Let me see. It's not the Three of Swords. It's the Three of Pentacles. Okay, cool. Three of Pentacles, and then I think this is the Two of Swords as well. I'll just pull the last one and then I'll check. Okay. And then we have 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the Eight of probably Pentacles. I'm gonna check. Okay. Let me see if that's okay. Cool. Let's see. Not the Two of Wands. Okay, I think it is the Two of Swords. Yeah, Two of Swords. And then I feel like that's the Eight of Pentacles. Oh, it's the Eight of Wands. Okay. So, with the Three of Pentacles, I feel like people also feel like you would be a good person to collaborate with. I feel like people like working with you just in general, no matter like what it is. It doesn't have to be with like work, but I feel like I don't know, I just feel like you're easy to work with. I also feel like because you might be like a hard worker and people really like that, and you make other people's jobs easier whenever you're grouped with them in something. With the Two of Swords, I think others, whether it's on a small scale or a big scale, can sometimes maybe sense inner conflict within you. Because the Two of Swords, I always just think of like making decisions. And I am feeling right now like a bit more of a like heavier energy. So I do feel like this isn't something that like that's like always happening with you, but I feel like maybe, you know, there can be a little bit, I think even though you're connected to your emotions, I feel like sometimes there's a struggle. Sometimes, oh my gosh, I don't even know. There's so many different things. There's emotions, and then there's also like, I think that how you feel sometimes, this might be very specific or not specific at all. I don't know. I want to try and be kind of general, but the way that you feel about the world in general, some of your opinions, maybe you have a hard time voicing. Even though you have a strong personality, I think that maybe there's like an internal conflict between who you want to be at times. Like who, I think that, you know, generally I think that you're pretty okay and like confident in yourself. But I think that there is at times where you wish that you were different, or times that you wish that you could express certain things that you may not want to ruffle feathers, or just for whatever reason, maybe it's like a wound from like growing up. You feel like you are not allowed to express certain things or stir the pot. Because this also, like, this specific picture also makes me think of, like, I mean, maybe this cat is yawning, but it also makes me think of, like, a lion roaring, and maybe that's how you want to be sometimes, but it feels safer to not do that, and I think that sometimes there's some internal conflict there, and I think that sometimes people can sense that, especially someone, like, if you, I don't know, if you, there's someone that you know really well that you express these feelings to and these thoughts to, they either don't see, I mean, I think that they do see this internal conflict, but like they see it like with other people, but I think that they also are okay with it, because it's like, okay, well, at least you trust me with it. But I do think that there may be that other people, I think on an energetic level, I don't think it's always super obvious in your personality or the way you carry yourself, but I think that on an energetic level, I think that people can sometimes tell that there's something that you're not saying, or just truths that you're not telling, and it's not like saying them would make any big difference, but they might. And yeah, like it might be like a big, it might make a difference in the sense that, like, if you spoke up about these things that you're thinking or feeling, it might be like shocking to people, but it might also give people a new perspective on you. And I think that I mean that in kind of a good way. I think it might give them a better understanding of, you know, why you are the way you are, why you think the way you think. And I honestly think that it would be very beneficial, and would open doors for people to get to know you. I think that maybe there may be some fear in letting people in. It's okay to, you know, be selective with who you talk to and who you share things with, but they know sometimes it's okay to open up a little bit more about your personal self, you know, and your opinions about things. I think some people sometimes have this idea that there's no point in sharing those things, especially with someone that they don't know, because like, oh, it's not like it makes a difference, or it's not like, what if we have like a heated discussion about this and then I regret saying it, like my opinion on this, or what if I don't know, I feel like there's this feeling of like, you may sometimes think, well, there's no point in me saying that because this conversation is basically going to lead to nowhere. But sometimes you can have conversations that lead to nowhere. It's like, whatever, you know? It's not that serious. And that's why I think it's really cool, you know, the people that you do know that you get to be more silly with. With the Eight of Wands, this is a card of like action, and this is a very funny card, and this card looks like one of my cats. This card too. Anyways, I think that there are a lot of ways in which you take direct action. I think that people see you as someone who, like, when, again, like how I was saying with these cards and even these cards, like when you have a goal, when you have something that you want, you don't hesitate to go for it. And that's a pretty admirable quality. I think a lot of people see that and they think it's really cool. I honestly feel like that's all I have to say. I'm trying to think of more. Like, that's the general message. Sometimes I want to make these readings longer than they need to be, but it's like I don't want to just repeat myself. Yeah, overall, I would say you have good energy. I feel like obviously, like, I don't think any one of these piles is gonna have a bad energy, hopefully, but yeah, no, in general, other people see you as trustworthy. I don't think I said that in this reading, but people see you as trustworthy. They feel safe being around you. They feel kind of calm and centered being around you. They see you as a determined person, and yeah, you know, and there are people who can sense that you're a very deep person, and the people closest to you can see your more intuitive sides. And I think the only flaw, if you want to even call it a flaw, it doesn't even have to be, is that some people wish that you would open up to them more. But other than that, yeah, that's your reading. I don't have any like advice cards or anything to pull today. I thought about it. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. I think I have, yeah. I'm actually gonna pull a card from this deck because I thought about it, and now that I'm here, might as well. So, this deck is called the Pleasure Alchemy deck. I still don't fully know how to use it because you're supposed to pull a card and then it asks you questions, and then you can pull a card for each question, but I think we're just gonna pull one card and just interpret it. And basically I'm just gonna ask, like, what is one way, what is one thing that you can do for yourself that would bring more pleasure into your life in general? Let's see. Okay. Some advice for pile 1. Oh, okay, and we have artists. So before I even read it from the book, because I'm going to read what it says, I feel like this connects to what I was talking about, how you are more artistic to people who know you well. She holds pleasure in her hands. Cool. Anyways, I feel like just embracing this side more to, like, I mean, obviously you don't have to share everything with everyone all at once, but I think that embracing your, you know, artistic side more, your creative side, just in general. And I feel like, I don't know if this is just how I'm feeling right now because I'm hungry kind of, but this may be completely irrelevant, but I'm feeling this energy of kind of feeling like nervous. So maybe you're nervous to do that. Maybe it's something you haven't done in a really long time, but it's something that you'd like to do. Maybe like inner child healing is important. But yeah, there's a lot of like reluctance to this, and I just, unless that's just how I'm feeling right now, I don't know. But if there is reluctance to this, I want to say that, you know, it's totally okay, and you can go at your own pace. You don't have to force yourself to be all out there. But I think even if you do it, you know, in private or with a person you trust, I think embracing this more, what kind of energy would you call it? I guess creative energy, but this, yeah, just nourishing this side of yourself that is more sensitive, is more into watery things, water energy, I guess, more than earth energy. Embracing more water energy could be really beneficial and pleasurable for you. So I'm gonna read from the book what it says. Okay. The message says, you find the artist when you need inspiration. You feel as if something is missing in your life. She takes your hand and says, the act of creating, of crafting something beautifully, something meaningful, can bring you immense pleasure. Where in your life can you be an artist? An artist creates with pleasure and for pleasure. Is there some tantalizing vision inside you that must be given shape and form? Have you been tempted to wander art museums and bookshops for inspiration? Are you drawn to sit quietly, gazing at falling leaves or rushing streams? Do the birds outside your window make your hands itch to emulate their graceful motions? What is holding you back? There is always room for more art in the world. Then it has like a little advice thing right here. It says, You can draw a picture, arrange a room, create a menu, design a tool, write a song. Almost anything can be made into art. Could pleasure itself be your art? Art can be private or public. There you go. Do not let self-consciousness or stage fright keep you from creation. Okay, and I'm just gonna hold that up if anyone wants to read it. Okay, nice. So I hope that you enjoyed your reading. I hope it provided some useful insight. If you want to see more readings, I only have 2 right now, but I will be posting more. So if you're interested, please subscribe and comment any suggestions if you have any. And yeah, I hope that you have a great rest of your day. So bye. Hello, pile 2. If you chose, hold on, what is this deck called? The Phantom Wise Tarot with these cute sort of, I don't know, what the spiral earrings. They remind me of a donut, of a twist donut. So if you chose the twist donut silver earrings and this deck, first of all, you have good taste, because this deck is basically the reason I'm doing this reading. I wanted to do a reading this week, but I just bought this deck yesterday, I think, or maybe 2 days ago, but I've never, or not never, but it's been a while since I've been so drawn to like a deck before. I just think the images, it's just very cool. It's a very cool theme, and I really wanted to use it, so I was like, I need to do a reading. So anyways, so basically what we're gonna do, this side is going to represent how other people who you don't know view you, and this side is going to represent people who you're close to, how they view you, and then we're going to get into the tarot to kind of get an objective how everybody, whether or not they know you or don't know you, like views you, just your general personality traits that people pick up on. So yeah, also I didn't turn off the candle. I blew out the candle because this is a very sweet candle and it was just too much for my nose. So no candle for the next 2 readings. So sorry about that. But yeah, let's get right into it. So for this side, we have the duck and chrysanthemum with luck. We have lizard. And we have bees. Okay, and for this side, we have the ladybug and sweet pea with happiness. We have a vulture. And we have Octavia E. Butler with the future. So one theme that I was getting like for both of these sides is, in general, people like to be around you. Like, whether or not you may, like, you can go either way. You may be introverted or extroverted. If you're on the more introverted side, I feel like honestly a lot of people here are kind of more like possibly more introverted, because this card talks about being very artistic, but also being very like sensitive to other energies and prone to overstimulation, and basically like kind of a homebody card. Like, it's kind of good to just go and retreat, to kind of revitalize your energy and feel at home. But I think that, like, you know, even if you're an introvert, I think a lot of people like your energy. There may be, like, maybe energy protection is honestly something to look into, because there may be, like, people who are energy vampires around you that kind of feed off of your energy, because it's a very positive sort of magical energy. Although with this vulture card, this card talks about being able to transmute heavy energies. So I think if this is something, if energetic protection is not something that you already practice, I think that people who know you at least I think that honestly it's something that maybe you've actually been thinking of doing, like, I need to protect my energy, maybe I should do that. And I think that you should start doing that. You don't have to do a ritual if you don't have to, but just kind of like be more mindful of how people make you feel, and you can kind of like I don't know how to explain it, but you can kind of like feel your way into protecting your energy when you're around others. Kind of notice the habits that's, I know we're gonna get into like all this, ooh, how people perceive you, but I feel like this is important for me to say. Kind of, yeah, kind of get into the habit of feeling into being mindful of how other people make you feel, how it feels to be around other people. And if you feel drained, if you notice yourself feeling drained, kind of take a step back. If you can't leave the situation, kind of like ground yourself with some deep breaths, or however works for you. You can look up grounding techniques, and that maybe grounding techniques could be very helpful for you, because I feel like you have a very intuitive, kind of fairy-like energy, and you know, you're naturally very, I don't think that, like, the last energy also had it, or the last pile had an intuitive energy as well, but it felt more like heavy, like they were tuned into like kind of the darker into, I mean also the light, but they were like, they had like, I guess, I don't know how you would describe it, a darker or more heavy energy. Like they were tuned into their intuition and they were very deep and dark. And this kind of feels like, even though you can go and be deep and dark, I feel like you find it easy to be tuned in to like your intuition without it being, it's just something that comes literally so naturally to you that you don't feel like it's like a dark sort of witchy thing. It feels very natural to you. It feels very light. And where was I going with that? Oh yeah, because your view of spirituality, your take on spirituality is very light, you know, it can lead you to be a very bright light. Like I'm thinking of like the Sun card for other people, and when you're naturally that way, there's gonna be people, there's gonna be people who are jealous because they're like, ugh, like why are you naturally so bright? Even if you're not always like happy, they just feel a bright energy from you. And that's probably normally going to be people that you don't know, but it could be people that are close to you. We're going to get into that a little bit more, but I feel like it's more from people that you don't know. There may be people jealous, or if they're not jealous, there may be people who are in need of healing, who maybe trauma dump onto you. And it can just be like a lot. And even if this isn't happening, I think that maybe there's people like who for whatever reason maybe just drain your energy, and it's not because they're draining. I think that being like overstimulated and around a lot of people can be draining, and I think it's very good to practice like nervous system regulating techniques that you can use in these situations. I think that could be something to look into. Anyways, so for how other people view you that you don't know, with the luck card coming out, I actually, when I was shuffling, I saw this card and I just felt very drawn to it, and then it came out. I feel like people, the first thing I was getting is that people who don't know you think that they see you as this very like magical, sort of spiritual person. If they don't see you like directly as spiritual, definitely someone who like manifests easily. Like, I don't know, like you just kind of seem like magical is just the word that keeps coming to mind. Very magical, very flowy, very light. And I feel like a lot of people see you as someone who naturally attracts good things and naturally attracts abundance because you're in this good energy. I'm gonna drink some water real quick. Give me a second. But yeah, people see you as just a lucky person in general, even if they don't see you as like lucky, even if you don't feel like lucky things are happening to you. I think you actually might notice that there are good things that happen to you, or you notice that people are always generally pretty happy to be around you. Maybe a lot of people like smile at you, and this could just be like, you know, people are being friendly, but I feel like you genuinely make people smile, just like your energy. With this Bees card, this talks about togetherness, work. Oh, there's one more thing that it talks about, but I forgot. Cooperation, maybe. I feel like in general, people like, they like to be around you. I think I already said that, but they like to be around you, and you just have a very like, it doesn't have to be super bubbly even, but just like a positive energy. People might think you're like cute. I don't know, like, does that make sense? People think you're cute. You have like a cute energy, I guess. That's pretty much, but if you don't like the word cute, it's just a very like, it's just a very nice energy. It's just a very, you know, light energy. And I feel like, yeah, people like being around that. With this having like work, you know, people like working with you, people like being in your space. And even though maybe sometimes you don't want people in your space. And I also think that people get the vibe from you that even if you're like, whether or not you talk to people a lot, like even if you're not the type of person to talk to people a lot, I think that people can tell that you generally like people. Like, does that make sense? Like, you're not the type of like introverted person who, which, not that introverts like hate people, but you're not the type of person who, like, you do like being independent, you do like being selective with your energy, but you also genuinely do enjoy being around people. So you may honestly just be like a sort of like ambivert who, I know that these are kind of like general terms, but you may resonate with being an ambivert, or however you pronounce it, ambivert, but you may just be very sensitive to, you know, people's energies and sensory things. And I think that's also something that people can sense, is that you're very perceptive. They may not know that not everyone may pick up on the fact that you get overwhelmed, but they can tell that you are a very sensory person. You're very tuned into your environment. You're very observant. I think that people can tell. You may be the kind of person to like notice things about people. Like, you might be like the first person to notice if somebody changed their hair or did their makeup a certain way, like differently than they normally do. Like, you may be the first person to say something to them like, oh my god, I really like how you did your makeup today, or I really like this or that, or whatever. Very observant. And I feel like, honestly, in general, you just have this observant look on your face. I also think that people think that you're very, like, just cool, even if you're not trying to be. This lizard card, I just think that this is cool. I think this is so, like, balanced. I think people think that they get, like, a very balanced energy from you. And people think you're nice. People can tell that you're nice. You know, you're a nice person. I think that, like, that's what it is. It's kind of like this nice, light, like, it's giving very Empress energy. There is like a very feminine energy to this. You know, obviously you don't have to identify with like femininity, but like this, it feels like a very feminine energy. And yeah, I think that more likely than not, the people who chose this group do present in a more like artsy or whimsical way. It doesn't have to be, you don't even have to be into art per se. Why is my voice gets so tired so easily. Anyways, you don't even have to be into art per se, but you may be into art. You may be into movies, film, acting. You may be into like books or something, I don't know. People can also tell that you're like you may not always be, like, if you're in a public space, people can tell, or at least they think, that this is probably true. Only you'll know if this is true or not, but it seems like maybe you're like thinking of like something else, like maybe like you're not really fully invested in where you are, even though you are observant of what's going on around you. I think sometimes people can tell that like oh, like she wishes she was like at home right now, or she wishes she was like at home, like doing art or something. I say she, but I'm getting a feminine energy from this again. Like, so it just came out, but I'm gonna use neutral pronouns. I'm gonna try as much as I can. But yeah, no, I get the vibe from this pile that people can kind of, they think like, oh, like, you know, she's thinking, or they are thinking of like, I don't know. you're kind of off in your own world. Not in a bad way. You're not like super like spacey. Like some people may see you as spacey, but I think that spacey sometimes has a negative connotation to it, because people associate spacey with like dumb, and I don't think anybody thinks you're dumb. I think that people actually know that your interests just lie in like sorry, I'm like burping. Anyways, your interests lie in other things, like that's very vague. I'm trying to think of a specific scenario. Like, you may just, sometimes it may just be hard to pay attention to things that you're not particularly interested in, and people are like, oh, she's, they don't overthink it, obviously. I'm kind of like over explaining this, but you get it. They get the vibe that you're smart, but there are just certain things that you don't care about, and then some people, very few people, might be like, ugh, like she doesn't get it. Those are the people that would probably fall under the umbrella of being like jealous or like envious of your naturally good, lucky energy, because you seem to be someone who manifests abundance without even trying. Again, even if you don't think you do, people think that you do. People think that you're lucky. People think that you're good at manifesting. Even if they don't believe in manifesting, they think that you get what you want a lot, or they think that you just attract good, abundant things into your life. But yeah, there might be those people who are like, oh, but then I think in general, people just know that sometimes you're just not interested in what's going on in the real world, and you would rather be doing something artsy or crafty or creative, or like listening to music, or yeah. I feel like I have more to say. Like about how other people view you. I feel like that's in general. I feel like I'm trying to really like explain this perfectly, but I don't want to like just say the same thing over and over again. So we're gonna get to this side. How do people who know you well view you? Again, with the happiness card coming out, I feel like you have a generally pretty good outlook on life. And even if sometimes you find yourself being like you may not always think you have a good outlook on life. You might think like, oh, like I complain a lot, or like honestly I'm kind of cynical. But I think overall, like, people close to you can see you as like a very, the word that came to mind was lovely. You're a lovely person. Like, you're just lovely. Your energy is lovely. Like this little ladybug. It's very cute, and it's very like, with this vulture card, I think that maybe you underestimate, I mean, I don't know, but I think that maybe you underestimate your ability to transmute heavy, big energies. I think that you honestly have a very, I think you may feel heavy, but I don't think that everyone feels this heaviness from you. I think that you're very good, more so than you think, at transmuting heavy energies. But it would also be good for your own sake to work on like I said, like grounding techniques, nervous system, like regulating techniques, just because like your energy is, you know, kind of good at transmuting that energy. Doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you, but to other people, you give off a very happy-go-lucky, cutesy energy. But also, this card does sort of talk about, it talks about being imaginative and planning, but it also talks about worrying about the future. I think that the people who know you do see how much you worry about the future, which would be funny to the people who don't know you, who just think that you're naturally lucky and that you just feel very confident about the future all the time, because obviously, why wouldn't you? You get everything, maybe not everything that you want, but maybe some people kind of view it that way, but you naturally attract good things. So people who don't know you may not know how much you actually worry about the future or have anxieties or worries, and the people who know you know about those. But like with this like happiness energy, this ladybug energy, it's very, some people close to you, and I don't think they mean any harm by this, may think that your worries are silly or be like, oh, like so cute. That's so cute that you're worried about that. And sometimes that may make you feel better, like, oh, okay, maybe my worries aren't actually that bad. And sometimes it may, I feel like most of the time it kind of does it's like take the pressure off of you. But there are some worries that you want to be taken seriously, but I feel like for the most part it's like, okay, well, you know what, maybe if they think this is silly, maybe it is kind of silly. But I think that the people close to you, obviously this is true for everybody, but I feel the need to emphasize they really, really love you. And yeah, they just really love you, because I think that you might underestimate how lovable you are and how positive of an impact you have on others, even the people who don't know you. But I do feel like the people who don't know you, again, I know I've already said this, there may be prone to either jealous people or people who come into your life unknowingly kind of wanting you to fix them. And it doesn't even have to be like, they don't have to play a big role in your life, but I think that you attract people who feel like they need healing of some sort, because you have a very purifying energy. Maybe like, even if that's not something like you're interested in, I don't think that you have to be interested in healing per se, but I think that you just naturally have a very like calming effect on people. I think that, you know, people who don't know you, so there is a kind of like a big difference in these energies. I think that they're similar. They both view, because your energy is naturally pretty positive. Positive is kind of a vague term. It's naturally very light and flowy. I'm getting a lot of kind of like air and water energy. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Like air signs especially, very calming to be, like water signs are very calming to be around. And mix that with air and you have like a really just chill person. And so I think people who don't see like how much you worry, even if they do kind of know, they still kind of like get this vibe from you where it makes them feel, they don't get the vibe that you worry that much, if that makes sense. They get a very like, I think that people, yeah, in general get a very chill vibe from you, and it makes them feel like they want to steal it. to be put bluntly, I couldn't find like a good way to word that. They want to steal it. They want to steal your energy, not to scare you. But yeah, and you may kind of wonder like why people are so drawn to you, because you're like, I literally, like, yes, I feel like, you know, I'm going with the flow and I feel like I manifest things, but also like, if only these people knew how much I worry about the future. And it's not like it's not all sunshine and rainbows and luck and getting everything I want, you know. God, what was I saying before I even got onto that tangent? I don't remember. Because I think I was about to get into the tarot, but yeah, no, the people who know you, I think I don't know if I finished saying this, but yeah, you may not fully see like how lovable you are, because, or just how positively your energy impacts other people. And I don't know, I don't think that sometimes, I think sometimes you get a glimpse of like where you're like, oh, I think other people like me, I think I'm actually liked by other people. But then you're like, no, that can't be. Why would that be? Why would that be true? And that's, I feel like that's also this kind of worry coming in. So yeah, I feel like your energy naturally, your energy and your mind are kind of on two separate planes. Your energy transmuting lots of, like, very, very purifying. Your mind sometimes can be against you, and make you believe things that aren't necessarily true, and make you doubt yourself, and make you feel like unworthy. But energy doesn't lie, and people cannot read your mind. They can't see your thoughts. They feel your energy, and your energy is good. It's like, there's no other way to put it. I'm trying to think of like a better word for it, but yeah, it's very sweet. It's just very nice to be around, you know, for both these. And it's especially the people close to you. Like, I'm sure you know this, but you know, they see you, even the people that you think you know how they see you because, oh, I'm close to them, of course I know how they see me. Like, they see you like that, but even better. Like, they see you like as even more lovely than you could even imagine. So I think that's important for you to know, because I don't think that you feel that all the time. So we're gonna get into the tarot now. I want to make sure that my phone is still recording. Hold on. Okay, it is. I feel like I've talked for a very long time for this one. I think that this pile might be a little bit longer than the other one, but that's totally fine. Okay. Oops. Oh god. Okay, we're gonna do that one more time. Okay, so now we're gonna get, how do people in general see you? What is the most objective? I guess not the most objective, but in terms of getting a general idea, how do most people see you in your main personality traits? Oh, okay, we have the Five of, oh, okay, the Five of Cups. I'm going like, because just, I actually want to get a clarifier for that one, because the Five of Cups is obviously a very sad card. I think that maybe people do sense sadness in you at times, but, oh, is that a confirmation? That the third car honk of the day. I want to get a clarifier. Can I get a clarifier for the Five of Cups? So actually, okay, I'm getting a clarifier, but now that I'm like looking at this, I think that this has to do with, oh, okay, let's see. The Page of Cups. Okay, so in this deck, I mean, I think probably in all decks, this is the meaning of the Page of Cups. Sometimes I think of the Page of Cups as like someone who's starting an artistic endeavor, just kind of new at it, but in this deck, it specifically talks about someone who is sensitive and big with their emotions. And that's what I was about to say with this, is I think that people can tell that you're sensitive, and not in a bad way. I think that honestly, that's another thing that kind of attracts people to your energy, is you're very open to, I think that's what it is. I think honestly, I don't think that's what it is. People don't think that you're sad. I think that you're very open to sharing, you know, not all the time, but I think in general, you don't shy away from talking to people about sad emotions. And that's where I think that people may come to you with their emotions at times and feel very comfortable talking to you or just being around you, because I think that, yeah, you don't shy away from these sort of more negative emotions that may make other people feel more drained or whatever. Like, you don't, like, those, I don't really think that those emotions drain you. I think that honestly, that's one of your strengths. I think that negative, I'm putting that in quotes, negative, tough emotions energize you, or maybe not energize you, but you feel at home in like spaces where people are being vulnerable and you are being vulnerable. That's what makes you feel most at home. no, that's not all that you are, but I think that, yeah, you feel very at home in emotional spaces. This is very, very watery energy. You don't have to have water in your chart. You probably do, but even if you don't, like, you have a very watery energy. And I think people pick up on that. And, like, that's the thing is, like, I think that you have a very light, sort of happy energy, but that, yeah, obviously that doesn't mean that you're happy all the time. In fact, it could be the opposite, you know? I mean, not that you're sad all the time, but I think that the reason that you give off such a purifying energy is because you actually release your emotions and you talk about them, or you express them in some form rather than holding on to them. Because sometimes people think that they're stronger for not expressing their emotions or not paying attention to them or not dealing with them, but it actually creates a very heavy energy within them that they may not realize. So you may be feeling like you're sensitive. You may be like, oh, like, why am I so sensitive? Why do I feel emotions so much more than I see other people experience emotions? But your energy is actually probably lighter, and that doesn't mean that either of y'all's energy is like better or worse. Like, this is just because you actually feel through those emotions and express them and give them the time of day that they deserve and give them the validation that they deserve. It naturally heals your energy. Once you do that, you're releasing it. You're releasing that emotion into the wild. You express your emotions and you release them, which leaves room for a pure energy. And I don't want to use the word pure because that's kind of a weird word. Like, oh, this energy is pure, this energy is, ugh. Like, no. But you have a very, like, I think you get what I'm trying to say. Like, a purifying energy, because it's more light because of the fact that you're so emotional. You release those emotions rather than holding on to them and not feeling them. And I think that is something that people see, and it can, yeah, like the Five of Cups, you know, this is not a card. I mean, what did I say when I first saw it? I was like, oh God, like, I was immediately like, you know, oh, like, that's sad card. But you don't shy away from these emotions. So, anyways, oh, we got another one. Three of Wands. Yes, okay. I actually, for a long time, I didn't even really, some cards I'm more well versed in than others, and I didn't really have a full grasp on this one. And then I looked it up yesterday while I was doing tarot, and I was like, okay, if this card comes out, I feel more comfortable knowing what to say. This card makes me think of confidence. I feel like you don't even have to be super duper bold of a person to have this confidence. I feel like, again, with that, like, emotional release, I feel like being very comfortable in your emotions gives you this sort of confidence. And this also kind of makes me think of, like, someone who's a dreamer. You know, she's kind of looking off into the distance, and she's, you know, looking at this boat. Like, I don't remember what this symbolizes, what it's supposed to symbolize. But yeah, someone who's a dreamer. Her hair kind of looks like a snake. It reminds me of, like, so snakes maybe could somehow be significant. I don't know. But snakes, it also made me think of, like, Kundalini energy, since it's, like, going down her back, which makes me think of, like, very creative energy, creative potential. I think that you have a lot of ideas, and I think that people just really like talking to you in general. Like, you have a lot of ideas. Your perspective on things can be very fresh and new, and maybe even if it's not a new perspective, the way that you, like, maybe word it is, like, something that people haven't heard before, and it's very, like, wow, like, but that goes for both people that you know well and that you don't know well. Like, people that you don't know, they're like, wow, I've never heard that before. And it's kind of, like, funny and shocking sometimes, but it's, like, very endearing. And the people who know you well are constantly surprised by it's like there's always a surprise, and in a good way. There's always, like just when I thought they couldn't get any more, like, I keep thinking of the word endearing, just when I thought they couldn't get any more quirky. I don't, sorry to use that word. The internet kind of ruined that word, but yeah, no, I think that you have a very good energy and very like, yeah, I think that you have a growing confidence. I think that like, honestly, right now you're in a pretty good, I think that your confidence is going to grow even more, but I feel like right now, honestly, like you're way more confident just, and confidence doesn't have to be like influencers who, not influencers, there's like sometimes like those videos I'll see, I saw something on like Reels where it was like how to talk to, I don't know, this is how you talk if you have an inferiority complex, and this is how you talk if you have a superiority complex, and this is how you talk if you are balanced. Basically, it's just really stupid. You know those posts that are like, this is how you want to be if you want people to think you're confident? Like, that's not real confidence. Like, when I say confidence, I just mean comfortability in yourself. Security, maybe that's what I'm looking for, security. But also confidence. Just in your feelings, like security in like knowing yourself. And yeah, like I feel like you can probably say that you feel more of that now than you did a year ago or even a few months ago, and I feel like that's something that is growing within you right now, and I think that it is something that is being noticed by everyone around you in general. So we're gonna get 2 more cards. Okay. So, cute. I haven't seen this card yet. This is a really cute card. It's the Lovers. The Lovers. We're gonna get 1 more card. Oh, okay. The Lovers and the Knight of Wands. So with the Knight of Wands, there's also a determination to you. Like, it's not like the main theme of your personality, but I think that there is a determination. And maybe people don't realize that the reason that you are so lucky and that you seem so lucky is because you're very determined. And you may also underestimate how determined you are, and maybe also sometimes think like, oh, like I just got that because of luck. And sometimes it is luck, but I think that also like you put in a lot more work than you think you do. And not everyone will see this, but I think that there's people who do know. There's a good few people who know that like you're a very determined person. With the Lovers, I think that you just have generally a pretty, like I was saying earlier, lovely energy. I think that like you probably have a lot of people that are attracted to you and interested in you, and maybe this is kind of annoying at times or just kind of uncomfortable. But either way, like with the Lovers, can't ignore that message. Is that, I mean, I guess I if I got that message. There's also like, I don't know if this is important, but I feel like there's also just people who want to like, who feel very protective over you. Even people who don't know you well just feel very protective over you. It just might be like a natural thing, especially like people who have feminine energy. And also, I don't want to like, sometimes when I use like feminine and masculine energy, like I want to be careful with that, because I know I've seen people say like, oh, like feminine and masculine energy is like something, basically the alt-right pipeline, which I have seen some videos, right, where it's like, little tangent by the way, where it's like how to know that you have feminine energy and that you're a high value, what, like it starts with feminine energy and then it does kind of lean into like alt-right pipeline with like high value women and high value men. But we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about spiritual energy, and just in general, doesn't matter your gender, more like feminine energy stereotypically, like more masculine energies will like stereotypically speaking will feel like protective over that. And it literally doesn't matter the genders of any of these people, it's just energy. And that doesn't mean like random strangers like want to like protect, like, you know what I mean? They just might feel like an inkling of like, oh, like I feel very protective over them. You know, when you just have like a friend or something that you feel very protective of because they're like a little kitten or something. It's kind of like that. But you're also a strong person. I'm not saying that you're like a little kitten, but also kittens are strong, okay? Kittens, kitties, meow. Anyways, yeah, I think that you have a very dreamy energy to you. This card makes me think of very like just dreaminess, and I think this card is also Gemini energy, and I know I mentioned air signs earlier, so maybe Gemini is significant somewhere in your chart, maybe not. Let's see. Yeah, I think overall, yeah, you're a strong person, very emotionally in tune, not afraid to shy away from emotions, very secure in yourself, very dreamy. I think the Lovers also talks about decision making, but honestly, like, I'm not really getting a big decision making vibe from this card. So yeah, I think that is pretty much all. I could, you know, again, I could say more, but it would just be me reiterating the same stuff that I already said. So what we're gonna do last is I wanted to get a card from this deck. It's called the Pleasure Alchemy deck. And see, the way it works is I'm not fully like it's basically you pull a card and then it gives you questions and you can pull a card for each of those questions. But we're just gonna pull one card and kind of interpret that. And basically, this card is going to be general advice for you, how you can, you know, bring more pleasure into your life, kind of connect with yourself a little bit more. I'm gonna make sure my phone is still recording. Okay, I remember I recorded a reading like a long time ago for one of my old channels, and now I'm traumatized because it stopped recording and I talked for like 30 minutes. Anyways, okay, so advice for pile 2. Okay, we have Guilt Smasher. She makes no apologies. Again, it just says she, but it's gender neutral. Okay, I'm gonna read a thing from the book. Already, like right off the bat, I'm getting, it says Guilt Smasher. So yeah, you know, I think that that kind of goes with this growing like confidence and security is, you know, being very sensitive to not only your own energies but also other energies. You may be extra empathetic or just extra, you know, you don't want anyone to feel how you've felt maybe at times because you know what pain feels like. Let's just say that. Everybody does, right? But some people maybe aren't as sensitive to this feeling of guilt just for enjoying yourself, just for having a good time. And you may feel this guilt honestly because of that like jealousy that I was saying from certain people who don't know you, or even from like people who do know you. Not like jealousy, but I don't know, there may also be like a wound, childhood wound or something that makes you feel unlovable or not worthy of having good things. You may just be a generally lucky person and people have made you feel bad about that, and now you feel guilty for literally just being lucky and manifesting. And it may be sometimes a block in manifesting even more because you feel like you don't deserve it, and that's because of other people, not because of you. So I'm gonna read from the thing. Okay. says, the Guilt Smasher gives you a softly curved, uncracked geode and a heavy hammer. She watches as you tap the rock, steadily increasing pressure until the geode cracks, revealing the cavern of crystals within. She asks you, has guilt kept pleasure trapped inside you? Is it time to let go of what holds you captive? Pleasure isn't a reward you are given for certain behavior or for hardship endured. It isn't compensation you receive for being a good person. Pleasure is an innate capacity to find joy and fulfillment, and we are all born with this ability. Often, society tells us that pleasure is extravagant or self-indulgent and must be deferred because there are more important and productive things to do first. The Guilt Smasher asks us to question this premise. What could be more important than finding joy in your life, than following your heart's desire? Let pleasure be the end in and of itself. Did I read that right? Whatever. Make no apologies. And then it has like little advice. It says, be aware of your inner critics and shush them gently. Let go of self-conscious justifications and punishment/reward thinking around pleasure. There does not need to be any justification for you to seek and experience pleasure. Pleasure is yours and available to you no matter what. If you find yourself questioning your right to experience a certain pleasure, ask yourself why. And then if you want to read it for yourself, there. And yeah, so far the energies have been pretty easy to read and pretty good. I like these energies. So yeah, I hope this was helpful and that it resonated with some people and that it gave you some insights. If you enjoyed this, I only have 2 tarot readings posted on my channel right now, but I am going to be posting a lot more, so if you're interested, please do subscribe. But either way, I hope you have a great rest of your day. So, bye. Okay, hello, pile 3, if you chose the manga tarot and these little angel earrings. Or cherub? Is that a cherub? You know, this is going to be your reading. So, little like, whatever. The candle isn't turned on. It's not, hold on, you don't turn on a candle. It's not going, because the smell was really sweet and too strong. I usually like sweet smells, but yeah, it's not gonna be going if that matters to anybody. So anyways, we're gonna get started with this. So basically on this side is going to be how other people who you don't know perceive you, and this is going to be how people that you do know perceive you. And then when we get into the tarot, we're basically gonna get an overall sort of general objective view of how both people you don't know and people you do know see you, and your general personality traits that is pretty well picked up on by everyone, or not everyone, but in general. Okay, so starting with this side, we have the moth and eucalyptus, an ending. Yeah, you got 2 for this side. We got the trout and lily of the valley with purification. And we have the firefly and toad. And on this side, we have the bobcat and blackthorn with patience, the otter, and cat. So I want to start off by saying I was picking up a very like specific energy when I started, like before I even started, when I was kind of reading. Oh my god, sorry, I don't know if you heard that. That kind of scared me. That was my cat's food bowl going off. Anyways, I kind of go between feeling heavy in this energy and not, and feeling like, oh, like kind of good. And I feel like, so right off the bat, I don't know if I'm gonna be right about this. Like, I don't know if this is gonna be everyone who chose this pile, but I was getting a feeling of, especially since we're doing like people you know, like how they perceive you, I was honestly getting a feeling that right now you don't have a lot of people that are close with you or that you feel close to, or like maybe you did and maybe you just ended a significant relationship with this ending card as well. Maybe you ended a significant job where like maybe people who you knew there, like maybe you went no contact with your family members, maybe you cut off like a friend group or a friend or some friends that you were really close with. That's the vibe that I'm getting. That's what this feels like. But it's not all like sad, because there is some positive here. Yeah, this is the only one where I'm like kind of getting a message where I feel like there's a specific situation happening in your life right now that might kind of affect the way this reading goes or like is read. I mean, with these cards coming up in like how other people who don't know you perceive you, I mean, maybe there's people who you don't know who knew the people that you separated from, and so maybe that's why like those people specifically that you don't know are viewing this sort of ending. But even so, I think people that don't like, who aren't associated with you or this person or these people at all, if that's something that happened in your life, I think that they do pick up on, and like maybe you tell people, maybe you're in like a time, or maybe, you know, maybe not now, but maybe you kind of were very recently in a time where you felt kind of lonely, and like anyone who would even ask like how's your day going, like you would just spill everything to them, like, oh, like I just broke up with my significant other or this and that. So I think that right now in general, this is very specific to like what's happening right now, because I tried to pull cards from which, to be fair, I feel like a reading like this anyways, like how people perceive you is always changing, how, you know, depending on the environments you're in, depending on how your energy evolves over time, it's not really like something that's stuck in one place. And I definitely feel that with this feels like a very specific to like what you're going through right now energy. But I also like, hopefully when we get into the tarot, we'll get like general you vibes, rather than just the specific situation. But yeah, I had pulled cards, a whole other set of cards initially, and I was like, I don't know, I was feeling a very heavy energy, and almost like I was, especially after doing like 2 other readings, I was feeling a little bit like, oh god, like this is kind of a heavy energy to end with, and I don't want you to feel like bad about that or shame about that or anything. But I was like, okay, maybe I'll like take a break. I didn't end up taking a break, but I was just like, I think my voice cracked, sorry. But I was just, I don't know if it's just me being overwhelmed, but I was like, this feels like a bit of a heavy energy. But I just ended up pulling different cards, and it's still kind of, honestly, I'm glad that I re-pulled the cards, because the energy is still the same, but I got more clarification when 2 cards came out. Like, I was like, okay, that makes more sense. With Purification, I may have to read that one from the book again, but it basically talks, these both talk about death. This is like, you know, an ending, death and rebirth. And this one talks about a story about somebody like slaying a dragon, and like after that he was able to return to happiness. So and with this Firefly energy, I think this Firefly energy is also about like kind of fleeting ideas and a fleeting moment of like bursts of creativity, something like that. And this card actually does talk about humor and joy. So I think right now you may be in an energy where you're making light of, you know, bringing humor to your situation and also becoming more happy. Maybe this is something that happened kind of in the past. It wasn't like super duper recent, but I do think that anyway, like after he slays the dragon, it's like, oh god, I don't remember it exactly, but let me actually get the book. Let me go to it specifically. Okay, hold on. Okay, yeah. A hermit said to have slain the last dragon in England. Wherever the blood of the dragon was spilled, lilies of the valley grew. and once the dragon was killed, Saint Leonard returned to his life of peaceful solitude. Yeah, it says Lily of the Valley communicates a return to happiness. So, especially with this talking, and the otter also talks about playfulness and joy. Forgot, I'm having a little bit of brain fog. I think that right now there are some heavy emotions, definitely. There are some heavy energies. I think that you were trying to stay optimistic and positive through it all. Let me read the cat card. Oh, it's the wrong thing. Okay, the cat has to do with the untamed self-ownership washing. Yeah, so with self-ownership, I really do feel like right now you may be taking a bit of a, and with this card also talking about like the hermit, like a hermit, I feel like honestly you may be in a bit of a hermit mode right now. I do think that there's people close to you. I'm not getting the vibe for a lot of you that like you cut off like family. I feel like honestly there may be like mostly family members that are close to you right now. And I guess all of this is just a confirmation, like an energy check. But yeah, we're gonna get into the tarot in a little bit to get a more general vibe of how people just perceive you in general, but this seems like what is happening right now. I think that, yeah, you may have cut some people off, some friends off, ended a relationship that was maybe a significant relationship that had been going on for a while, and maybe wasn't making you very happy. So honestly, ending this relationship could, even though it was hard, it could actually be what is bringing more joy into your life because it was depleting you and draining you. And with this patience card, I think that the people that you do have in your life, you may also have a few friends, or you may have cut off, it could be anything. You could have cut off some really important friendships and have, you know, a partner, like a relationship, who's also being supportive of you. Right now, I feel like, oh, there's also just noticed there's 2 cats. I don't know why I just noticed that, but yeah. I feel like right now there is someone or multiple or like a few people who are being very patient, and you're being patient, and I think that there's someone really supporting you right now through this. And also I think that the people close to you view you as very patient for even like, and this is not just in this case scenario, maybe this is being brought up because the recent events that have happened have actually shifted the way people view you. And I think people close to you, some people who really have known you for a long time have always known that you're patient. Maybe your patience has grown, but I think that, you know, some people are really seeing how strong and how patient you are for dealing with someone or multiple people like this, and for dealing with the situation that you were in and being that strong, and also coming out of it and being able to take on a positive outlook overall. So I think the people close to you, that's how they view you right now. They view you as strong, they view you as patient. I think that people who you are coming across, and like if there's like people that you don't know very well, where you may be in an energy where you are like being very open with people again, with like, not in a bad way, but just like, you know, like sometimes, you know, when we leave situations like this and we're looking for solace in other people and connection, it's, you know, kind of easy to connect through traumas and stuff like that. I think that any like new people who don't know you may like, also this always happens, but sorry if my voice is all shaky, it's because I've been talking for the past 2 hours, but whatever. Okay, so my boyfriend just came home and opened the door, and I don't remember what I was saying. I think I was talking about like people who just met you, but I don't remember what I was gonna, oh yeah, I think I do. People who just met you, because this card is like a fleeting energy, like it's known for being like in the deck or in the book it says this is a very fleeting energy. I think, you know, people who you have just met, who are new in your life, may pick up on this sort of like, they know that right now, the energy that you're in right now is not, you're in a transition period. You're in a transition period, a period of ending something and going on to something new. And I think that people can, and I think honestly, like, this may be a good time to, I think that there are other people in your life who like you, very much like you, and very much like maybe want to be your friend or be a part of your life, and like, I don't know, they want to support you through this transition period, but right now they don't feel like they know you. They want to get to know you a little bit more rather than, you know, just the situation that you're in. And I feel like, yeah, anyone that you meet right now, even if you're not super open with them, you know, you may be attracting new people into your life right now. I kind of feel like that's kind of what's going on. New friendships, new relationships, whatever it is. And yeah, I feel like I'm gonna get more info from the tarot because this is a very specific situation. Right now, yeah, I feel like other people in this very, like, yeah, transitionary period, and people who already know you are also seeing this. It's like common between both of them, but I think the only difference is that in this, like, people who do already know you are kind of, they're more, obviously they have more details about what's going on in your life. They have more insight into your emotions, and but I think also with this Cat card, it's a very like independent card. It talks about self-ownership. I think I already said that. Also untamed. It's saying that with this being like untamed, I do feel like also you're in an era of your life. This is honestly, this feels more like it's about you, but maybe this is just what you need to hear at the moment. But I feel like in attracting more people into your life, I feel like right now, maybe when you were in this friendship, relationship, whatever it was, you felt more like chained or trapped, or like you couldn't really be fully yourself or be fully in your own energy. And I think that you're being kind of liberated from that. And yeah, honestly, this started as like a heavy energy, and I think it is, you know, I think it is kind of a heavy energy, but one, I think you're handling it well. And you know, there's gonna be harder days where you aren't feeling like this otter energy, but I do think that overall you are really, like, I just thought of the angel number 999, which is about endings, and the world card, which is also, I think that you are starting anew. You are starting, like, you're stepping into this new energy that is a bit more like untamed. It's something that you haven't felt maybe in a while, if this, you know, friendship / relationship was with you for a long time and you forgot what it feels like to actually be yourself. I feel like this energy also talks about like something that you have to grasp like in the moment, like it kind of like before it, you know, since it's a fleeting energy, you kind of, any ideas, any inspirations, you kind of want to like hold on to that and take, what's the word? Take advantage of the opportunity. And I think that right now, because right now in this very moment, you might be feeling a little bit more motivated than you have been since this person or people have left your life. And I think that that is kind of something where you can take advantage of that by inviting, and it's like, you don't have to replace people with more people. But yeah, there could be like, it could honestly just be inviting more like creativity or something that means something to you in your life. So we're gonna get into the tarot to get more info. This is like the one pile that has like a lot of info about you and specifically like what's going on in your life. It feels very different from the other piles. So maybe even if you felt drawn to the other piles, like one of them or both of them, there could be like more, if you want to hear more about how other people perceive you. in general. Hopefully it's going to be in the tarot, but that might be something to check out, because it also, I can't say for sure, but I feel like honestly one of the piles may be an energy that you're stepping into. If that sounds like it resonates, then you know, I'm gonna do that one more time. But overall, I think that people who don't know you get a very friendly vibe from you, especially with this card talking about humor. I think that they also like can tell that you're the type of person who, how do you word this, like takes things in stride. Like you are just in an energy where honestly you're making the best of your situation. At least that's how people are perceiving it. And there are people who honestly you may tell about like your situation and they may be like, oh my god, like how are you, like are you okay? And you're just like, yeah, like, and you're just like making jokes about it, and you know, you may not fully feel okay, but to them you look like you're handling it very well, and that's very impressive to some people. And I think even to people who know you and who are close to you think you're handling it very well. So we're gonna get more information and a more general idea. So can I get a more general idea of how people view pile 3? Oh my god, is this the 8 of Swords? 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm pretty sure. Wait, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. This is literally, yeah, it's the 8 of Swords, which is very fitting for the situation. Very, very fitting. Let's get more. Okay, and we have the Magician. So yeah, I mean, this card is all about like being like trapped, feeling chained. But I mean, this card is literally about manifesting. So I think that people can see, I mean, this card is making me think of this card. I feel like there's like an opportunity coming, or just like maybe this is about people. Since this is about how people view you, maybe this is about people, but it doesn't have to be. Let me see. Yeah, I feel like this is just honestly a very, very powerful time in your life. This transformation was sort of meant to happen. I think it could be like a karmic thing, like it was predetermined, pre-planned in your life for you to grow. And I think that people are kind of like seeing this. I think that maybe just in general you've been through a lot in your life, and I think that like this is maybe how you've been, like maybe people could feel that energy before, where they could feel like, hey, like you're not really being you're not really being your full self. And maybe before that was like something that you denied. If people were like oh, like I don't know, like people especially who were like close to you maybe would have, you know, who felt like they like really trusted you and you trusted them. They were like, I'm only saying this because, you know, I know you trust me, but I feel like you're not really, maybe there were people in your life, if this was like a relationship, maybe there were people in your life who were like, I feel like when you're around this person, around these people, you're not fully you. And this is what they see in you. This is like the potential that they see in you, that you also see in yourself. And now I think you're seeing it more, but I think when you were in this situation, whatever it was, you weren't seeing it, and maybe you were denying the people that were, you know, actually cared for you and actually just wanted the best for you. But I think that you're obviously getting out of that. So, okay, we have the King of Swords. Okay. Okay, I think have the Chariot and the Knight of Swords. So lots of masculine energy that I'm picking up on, but honestly there's a very like balance. Like I'm not getting anything like overtly masculine energy, which by the way gender doesn't even matter, it's just like an energy. But like yeah, I'm not getting like a particularly masculine energy from you, but maybe from just the situation. It feels like right now you're in an energy, like a more fiery energy, although Swords is like air. I'm seeing how, I mean obviously this is from the same deck, but how these kind of came out next to each other and look exactly the same. I feel like there's a lot of like divine timing happening in your life right now. And I feel like maybe right now some people, this is kind of honestly like there's not a lot coming out about you. It's more coming out, there's more stuff coming out about your situation, which I feel like alludes to the fact that you may be telling people again like a lot about your situation and what's happening, but not actually about you. And honestly, this isn't like a bad thing, but I think that maybe after being in this sort of situation that you were in for so long, you kind of like lost your own identity, your own self. Obviously not that you don't have an identity, but I think being in this situation for so long made you kind of lose that part of yourself. And so I think that this is kind of a hard energy to read because, and the Swords energy always makes me think of like very icy energy, very logical. I mean obviously there's a lot of communication as well, and like the Chariot coming out with the Knight of Swords just feels like fast communication. It feels like, what is that noise? Anyways, so I feel like right now in your life, which this is kind of telling a story, I think that this is like a very old energy, but this is also the only one that really has like, I don't know, all of these feel very like cool, and this is very like, this is like kind of like a very warm tone, but not in like a good way. It's like icy warm. It's like very like you were stuck in ice and now it's like melting. I think this is how even people who don't know you, they can see this potential in you. And I think you're starting to see it as well. And this, I think, yeah, you're just right now in a like a transitionary period. I'm also kind of seeing like the colors here, which kind of reminds me of, I don't know, that melting imagery that I was getting. But I think people do view you as very strong and very smart and very like, especially right now, since not that you were like not logical before for being in this situation, but I think people are seeing how like logical and smart you are and always have been for seeing this situation for what it is and being able to effectively and being a good enough communicator to get out of that situation. And I also think that people are seeing you as like, not only like, this doesn't just like talk about fast communication, but I also think that people are seeing you, people are kind of seeing your future for you. Like not that they actually, not that they know better, but I think that they kind of know intuitively that you have a lot ahead of you and they kind of see you making moves and doing great things. I feel like right now there's a lot happening in your life, but also nothing happening at once. Like I think there's a lot happening introspectively, like inwards, and I think that, yeah, I really do feel, I mean, I know there's only 2 other piles, but I feel like one or both of the other piles, or maybe even a different reading, could tell you the energy that you're stepping into, but this is the energy that you're in right now, and that it's kind of, this is how other people are perceiving it. But so yeah, this feels like a past energy, and I think the reason it showed up is just because you were in it for such a long time. This feels like this card and this card, I mean, they're both major arcanas. They feel very significant to actually like who you are, and also your own power that you don't see. And I think that this is something that either people see consciously or intuitively picked up on. I think, yeah, in general, people view you as a pretty, as someone who doesn't, or at least who didn't see their full potential. And again, like, I feel like the reason that it was so important to mention like what's going on in your life right now is because that's not your fault. Like, you're not saying your potential is not your fault. You may have been being manipulated by somebody. Maybe it wasn't that serious, but maybe it was, and like, that's why you were not seeing it. But I think that now you are, and I think that other people are like, one, really proud of you, and also just very much seeing this strong side of you come out. Again, it's like a masculine energy, but that doesn't mean like feminine energy can't be strong, or that you're like a masculine energy. There's this sort of like very logical and action-oriented energy, and I think that that is kind of what's giving you strength right now. And when people perceive that, they're also not perceiving it in like a masculine sense, if that makes sense. They're just kind of like, I don't know, especially like, I feel like people who know you have seen you grow and come so far, and the people who don't know you, based off of what you're telling them, are like, wow, like, if that's true, like, if all the stuff you're saying is true, like, you're in such a different energy now. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. This was a little bit more specific than the other ones, but obviously energy is ever changing. This is like just how people are perceiving you at the very moment. I did want to get, and I feel like this is going to be more, this is like most helpful for this group specifically, but I've been getting an advice card from the Pleasure Alchemy deck, which basically, this deck is kind of interesting because you pull a card and then it gives you questions, like 3 to 5 questions, and you pull a card for each of them. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to pull one card. But this deck is basically all about leaning into the pleasures of life and how you can do that. And I feel like this part for specifically your reading is going to be very important and helpful, hopefully. So we're just gonna get an advice card. Let me make sure my phone is still recording. Okay, so let's see, what advice does pile 3 need right now? How can they lean into their pleasure and connect with themselves more? I may actually get 2 cards for you. Step forward with the 5th suggestion, and then we have opened windows, which, yeah, I think that doors will be opening for you if they haven't already been. So I'm gonna read from the book. Let's see. Okay, it says, step forward with a resounding yes. Today make a choice that moves you forward. Whatever this choice may be, take the lead. Do not hesitate or second guess yourself. Do you have doubts and reservations? Of course you do. These are natural and healthy. Yet you must also remember that forward motion is natural and healthy as well. You are meant to try new things, explore new lands, and build new relationships. Time moves forward and you are encouraged to move with it. What have you hesitated to begin? Where do you wish for a little extra push of bravery? No matter what you choose to step towards, make sure there is some forward motion today. This is not a moment for a retreat, and if you cannot step forward in the way you might wish, step forward in some alternate way. Think outside the box, say yes. Then it gives you like ideas. It says, In the comfort of your home, practice walking confidently forward. Pick a theme song for stepping forward and walk and sing in time with the tune. Write down some imaginative or ridiculous next steps. Which one feels the most fun? Remember to think micro if you need to and start small. So, just going to hold that up, and then this is the front. And then I'm gonna read the other one. But yeah, after reading that, I think that honestly this is what you're doing right now. Yeah, I think in general, the general consensus is that a lot of people, whether they know you or not, see your potential that maybe you haven't seen for the past few years or year or whatever. Could even be just a few months, but it could feel like it's been like a long few months. Yeah, I think that, yeah, just like for a while there wasn't a huge perception of other people from you because you were hiding your true self a lot, and I think that's why there wasn't really anything coming through, because, or at least there wasn't a lot coming through with that, because I feel like your true self was very much hiding, so there wasn't really a perception on it. Yeah. So okay, hold on. There it is. Okay. There is something deeply delicious about throwing open a window and feeling that air on your face. Isn't the warm breeze of a summer evening pleasurable, and isn't winter's chilly air bracing in your lungs? Take pleasure in the mist of rain on your windowsill. Find joy in the smells of sun-warmed earth and fragrant flowers. Hear peepers and dogs, peepers, is that like a bird? Whatever. And dogs and birds and children and cars and laughter. And just imagine, could these open windows be metaphors? What windows do you need to open in your life? Where have you become closed off from the light and air of the outside world? Where do you need to sweep out old stagnant air and let in something fresh and new? Let your world widen as you fling open your window and breathe it all in. So yeah, I really do feel like both of these are saying, I feel like that is an energy that you were in. You didn't feel like you could move forward. You felt like you were stuck with, you know, people that were just making you think very limited things about yourself and kept you in a very small world, like, you know, pool versus ocean. They kept you thinking that you only had a pool of possibilities. But anyways, this remedy says throw open the windows, lean your head outside and breathe in the fresh air. Change your curtains with the seasons. Rub your face against sheer lace drapes. Decorate your window frames, dance in the crisp air of night as it flows through your window. Rearrange your bedroom so your bed is nearest to the window. So, there is that. And the front page. So yeah, I really hope that this was helpful and resonated. This pile was very interesting, so I'm really hoping that you got something from it. If you enjoyed this tarot reading, I only have one other one on my channel right now, but I do plan on posting many more, so if you're interested, please subscribe. But either way, I hope you have a great rest of your day. So bye.